Hello, this is Joshua Typley. I am a professional music producer and guitarist for video games and anime, and I was recently involved in the production of a metal cover of It's Going Down Now from Persona 3 Reload, featuring Johnny Gioeli from Crush 40 and Fidel, also known as Gamescage, on vocals. And I wanted to go over the production of this track and show you a bit about how we worked on it, the details, the decisions we made and why we made them, and just give you some insight into how all of this came together. So this was a project spearheaded by Dr. Ben Richland, who's a friend of Johnny's and a huge Persona fan. He wanted to hear Johnny sing this song, and so he kind of roped him into this and pulled the rest of us in. So let's start with the intro. So the vision that I had for this track was I really liked the funk elements and brass and organ and all that stuff of the original, and I wanted to retain that while beefing it up with really heavy, low-tuned guitars and a more intense drum sound. And so I started there. I wanted to have the intro hit you in the face right from the start with this really low chord on the guitars. And then it cuts out to let the higher guitars play, and it doesn't come back in until the verse starts. And that was really important because I wanted to set up the expectation of this really big sound and then give it a moment to breathe so that when it comes back in for the verse, it feels, it has a stronger impact. The guitars were performed by myself on the right side and Michael Ward on the left side. Generally speaking, we're playing the same thing because I wanted this to be very locked in and tight. So, as for the programming, so I went through the original song and worked out the piano, the trumpets, the organ, all that stuff by ear, and reproduced it. I actually owned some of the sample libraries that the original producers used for this track, so I tried to replicate it as well as I could. Drums were performed by Marvin Valentine, incredible drummer, and I asked him to go for the general groove of the original track, but hit it harder, and that's what he gave me. This is just Marvin's kit on its own. It's already a really big sound. I've got some EQ and compression going. I'm compressing relatively hard. Decibels of gain reduction. And just to beef it up a little bit, I used a beat detector to take the peaks of the waveform on the kick and snare tracks and overlaid them with samples. I'm using Get Good Drums, One Hit Wonder Brutal for the kick and snare there. I'm not a huge fan of Get Good Drums sound. I think it's a little overprocessed for me, but to use by itself, but I do like overlaying it on a real kit. So the bass was performed by Kyle Brook. He only had a 4-string bass to work with, and so what he ended up doing was tuning down to drop C sharp, I believe, and then used a plugin to digitally tune another whole tone down. But it's really clear sounding, and you would never guess by listening. I've got some multi-band compression taking care of the low end, keeping it from getting overwhelming. Just tightens it up. So those two together make a pretty big sound. I'll go over the vocals real quick. So when I sent directions to Johnny for this, I asked him to just do one take of the chorus because we could copy paste it for the others since they're exactly the same, and to record the bridge, and that was it. That's all I needed from him. And then so I was expecting 2 files, and he came back with 7 tracks of vocals. I was actually planning on sampling one of his yas from a different recording to use for this intro, but he ended up recording like several stacks here that worked out really, really great. The number of tracks might seem like overkill, but it's with these kinds of really thick sounds, it helps a lot to be able to stack as much as you can. So he's basically got 2 stacks in the center, 2 on the left, and 2 on the right. And all together, that makes a really big sound. I'll show you just 2 stacks. So as you start to bring in the other doubles, it gets thicker, wider, bigger, and it just sits in the mix better that way. So here's Fidel's rap part. He's rapping in both of these verses here. And he's only doing 1 take. You can see 2 files here. I'll show you what's going on.
Hey, it's those unintelligent monsters, Zayde. What are they thinking? Please explain it. Don't really need this crap, can't waste it. What happens is can't copy paste ya.
So I've got the main track here.
Hey, it's those unintelligent monsters, Zayde. What are they thinking? Please explain it. Don't really...
But we wanted a little bit more of an edge, and so what I ended up doing was running his vocal through a guitar amp plugin. Just the amp without the cabinet. That's something I like doing for distortion. I mixed it in at a very low volume.
This crap can't waste it. What happens is can't copy paste ya. I'm doing it better, never selling for another regular. Let it to my enemies, hands on ya. Bringing them down to a level of molecular. Better be wisely choosing battles, mostly battles. You know where those big time shady.
As for the arrangement of this verse, in the original track, the chords from the intro just keep going. But I wanted to give it just that kind of steady, intense metal feeling. And so I asked everybody to just hold down a low B. Johnny recorded these really cool call and response vocals here in the chorus.
And the bass, look into my eyes. Now tell me the things you blabbing about behind my back.
This track this part right here, he recorded a double for the whole chorus, but I wanted this particular line, now tell me the things you're blabbing about behind my back, to stand out a little bit more. And so since we already had a double going on, I muted it just for that line, so that just to help it kind of get the feeling of it across. Makes it more personal. Another thing that we did in the chorus was I wanted the tone to shift, and so the guitars open up here because they've just been muting the low string all this time for the most part, and so here in the chorus we're playing full open chords, and what we did was shift from using 4x12 cab impulses to 2x12 cab impulses, which have a very different sound, a tighter sound, and it just shifts the feeling of it, so that when the chorus comes in, it's just a kind of this paradigm shift, and it makes it just a little more impactful. Additionally, I recorded a couple additional guitars, so instead of 2, we have 4 going on. As the climax of this chorus comes up, the stacks start coming in, and this was just a decision that Johnny made as he was recording. It just makes things reach a climax in a more impactful way than you would get by, say, turning the volume up as the line ends, comes to a close. Another thing we did during that section, so again, I wanted to change the feeling of it as we got to this reintroduction, and so instead of just copying the intro, what I did was come up with this riff that kind of based on the little pentatonic fill that I did earlier. Where is it?
This crap can't waste it. What happens is can't copy paste ya. I'm doing it better, never selling for another regular.
That thing. I thought it would be neat to come out of the chorus into this kind of riff. And then I thought it would be even cooler to go into the second verse with the riff still going, and just let it, instead of bringing the energy back down into the second verse, I wanted it to stay up. And just, I thought it would be surprising, I thought it would be cool. Another thing we did during the reintroduction was, this is a very subtle trick. I brought the snare bottom mic in just for that, which adds a little bit of snappiness to the snare, gives it a brighter texture, helps it stand out a bit. And then over here in the second verse, we've got this rhyming end of each line here. And I wanted to make that stand out, so I put a chorus on it, and I added an echo.
You're thirsty for blood, actually craving for love. What you only want is a dub. Greedy makes you go numb. Purposely blocking good thoughts. Hey, please, Dr. Dusty. About to be that patient. Cause I'm about to knock you out.
There's also this synth part up here. Which is actually a guitar. That's my guitar just hitting one note running into a Boss SY1 pedal, which is a synth emulator.
Don't you worry about I'll say some meaning for your last words. After this, do that in the bird.
It was important to me here to keep the organ, which in the original track is one of my favorite parts of the whole song. And of course, down here in the vocal part, I wanted to make this this part where in the original Lotus Juice sings kind of stand out. So I did several things with the arrangement to kind of lift that part up. By the way, I forgot to mention the original track is in C sharp minor. We moved it down to B minor initially because we were planning on debuting it live at Sonic Expo 2024, and I wanted to. Johnny can hit the notes in C sharp minor, but we because we were going to perform it live, I wanted to give him a little bit more headroom to get up there in case it was like in the middle of the set and he needed, you know, a little extra room to use his voice at its strongest. So that was part of the reason that I moved it down initially. Additionally, I also wanted to just make it heavier and get the low B from the 7-string guitars, and lowering the key was one way to do that. So.
Bring him back, please.
I took the vocal line there and doubled it on the guitar. And I asked Michael to do the same. And then, of course, in the bass part, we have... reverse piano into the chorus, as with most of the transitions. Second chorus is the same as the first. And then, again, because we were initially going to do this live, instead of going into the bridge, I wanted to have something fun for the audience. And so I wrote this kind of little breakdown just to make this really heavy climax for the track. Had some arpeggios going over that. Really like the emotion in Johnny's voice here for the bridge.
Things may break me, but always get back up.
One thing in particular I thought was really great was that he held back on a couple of these notes and did not sing them exactly to the beat, but a little bit late. And that's a trick that a lot of vocalists do, a lot of musicians do, to add some more weight to certain notes. I'll turn the metronome on so you can hear.
Out and down, some things may break me, but always...
So you see the word me should be right here on this line, and he doesn't sing it until a little bit later. And with a part like this, that feels really good.
Out and down, some things may break me, but always get back up. New perspective gained from all the pain and stress.
So here, initially I tried programming the strings and piano from the original track for this bridge section, but I wasn't really liking how it sounded. It wasn't really coming together the way that I wanted. So I thought about the synth guitar part that I did in the second verse, and I was like, well, what could I do if I brought that back into the bridge? So I recorded several tracks of single notes and chords running through the Boss SY1 at different settings to make kind of this layer of sounds. There's some harmonics going on here.
Into my eyes, now tell me the things you blabbing about behind my...
Last chorus, same as the others. And then into the outro, where I wanted to make it just really huge and heavy. And to do that, I had, instead of doing single notes or riffs on the guitars, I went with a power chord. And that's that. So, just a quick overview of how all this came together. I focused more on the arrangement than anything else, but if you have any questions about the mix or the production, feel free to ask, and I'll be happy to answer however I can. Just to go over the roles again, because there were so many people involved with this track. It was not just Johnny, it was not just me. So this was spearheaded by Dr. Ben Richland under his project called Friends with Bennies, which will be the name that we'll be releasing future covers under, because we're going to be doing some more stuff with Johnny from other games. I handled the arrangement and the mix for this track, as well as the main guitars. My second guitarist was Michael Ward, bassist was Kyle Brook, drummer was Marvin Valentine, and our mastering engineer was Victor McKnight. I took this mix that you hear here, I bounced it down as a single stereo file, sent it over to Victor, and he took another look at it, approached it from a different perspective, to make some final touches and just kind of spruce it up a little bit, and sent that file back to me, and that's effectively the final track. So, thank you all for watching. My name is Joshua Typley. I'll see you next time.